feel like everything that we knew about weddings, all of the traditions, all of the rules, all the stuff just got totally turned upside down the past couple years. But I think it's actually an amazing opportunity because it gave us permission to ditch all the things that don't matter and focus our time, energy, and money on the things that truly matter and are truly gonna make for a meaningful big day. Hey blushing brides, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. I'm Kyle James and I post videos every week on all things wedding planning, inspiration, and design. So if that sounds like something you're into, make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. In this video, I'm going to talk about some trends that are on their way out in 2022 and 2023 and some amazing new trends that are on their way in. I feel like we're living in a different world now where more than ever, we're craving super meaningful experiences, especially with our weddings. So we are going to start seeing a lot of the traditions and the things that just don't really add much to the experience disappear, which is amazing because by eliminating this stuff that doesn't really matter, we have a lot more time, energy, and money to spend on creating a once-in-a-lifetime wedding experience. All right, so let's start with the stuff that's on its way out. The first thing that we're seeing on its way out is junk wedding favors and just less stuff in general. Actually, a lot of couples are starting to opt for no wedding favors because it's hard to find something that is truly meaningful to the couple and will be meaningful and useful to the guests. And in the age of minimalism, we're kind of in a place where people don't even really want favors. They don't want a little trinket with your name on it to store in their junk drawer somewhere. That just doesn't really make sense anymore. So I think that we'll see either super meaningful favors that really say something about the couple, add to the experience and add to their story, or opt for no favors at all. I've talked about this before on my channel, but I love the idea of swapping out favors for just a really beautiful handwritten thank you note. The next major thing that is on its way out is the chaotic DIY wedding. DIY brides, don't click away just yet, let me explain. I definitely think more and more couples are gonna continue to opt out of hiring the full service wedding planner just because all of the information that you need to plan your wedding is out there on the internet and you can really do it yourself, and this can save tens of thousands of dollars that you could apply elsewhere in your wedding. And since you have the information and the tools and the inspiration available at your fingertips, there's really no need for the full service wedding planner. So I'm not saying that people are gonna opt more for like hiring people to do stuff. It's just not gonna be like the old school chaotic DIY wedding where you can tell that everything was DIY'd. I think these DIY weddings are starting to look extremely professional because people are putting in the work and putting in the time to make sure that they are planning the wedding professionally, even though they are doing it themselves. And like I mentioned, since we are starting to opt out of details that don't really matter, there's actually less stuff to do and more time and energy to focus on the things that really matter to you, so you can totally do them yourself and have them be completely professional. Speaking of this, if you are planning your wedding yourself, obviously my channel is a great resource. I walk you through all the things that you need to know for your wedding planning process. But another super important tool for you to have is the Unveiled Ultimate Wedding Planner Workbook, because this is really what's gonna help you plan your wedding like a true pro. It has all the checklists that you need so that you're not gonna miss any details, but it also walks you through very thoroughly how to book each vendor, like the questions that you need to be asking and the stuff that you need to be looking for when you're touring or meeting with vendors, so that you can really professionally plan your big day and you're not gonna miss something major and have it be chaos or drama on your big day. I will link that below, and it's great for everyone, but especially if you are opting out of hiring that full service planner and you're wanting to do more of like a day of coordinator thing. It's really important that you download the workbook and keep yourself super organized so that your big day runs professionally and seamlessly, and so that you can actually enjoy it. I'll link that below for you. The next thing that's definitely on its way out is crappy wedding food. For a while there, I felt like there was kind of a stigma against like hiring restaurants and stuff like that to cater your wedding. It was like if you don't have the professional wedding caterer, then it didn't feel very weddingy or something, I don't know. But a lot of those wedding caterers, especially if you're on a tight budget, hiring one of those caterers, you're just not gonna get that great of food. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get really amazing food, even if you are on a more limited budget, like hiring your favorite restaurant to cater instead of having to have the chicken and the fish. Like, why would you not just have your favorite foods there that are delicious and that you get for the same price or less? I think that we'll see the chicken, steak, and fish menu kind of on its way out, especially for budget weddings, and more people will opt for having their favorite restaurant cater their big day or do fun things like food trucks and stuff like that. The next trend that is definitely going away is an extensive wedding gift registry. I've talked about this before on my channel, but most of the time, by the time we get married, we're not really in a place where we need every single thing for a new home like it used to be in the old days, especially when people didn't used to live together before they got married. So the old school registry of all of the kitchen stuff, all of the dishes, all of that stuff just doesn't quite make as much sense, especially in this age of minimalism. I just don't think people want that much stuff, and it doesn't make sense to get all that stuff if you don't want it. Your guests' money is much better spent on something that's truly meaningful to you. I think we'll see a lot more of the honeymoon funds or the house funds or the joint gifts so that everyone can contribute to something big and meaningful that's actually gonna make a difference in the couple's lives. The next trend that's definitely on its way out is huge bridal parties. And honestly, I think bridal parties in general are probably eventually going to phase out. It kind of like the MySpace top 8 thing. Hopefully some of you know what I'm talking about and I don't age myself too much with that. But I've seen more and more couples opting to not even have a bridal party so that the ceremony is really all about them and it's very intimate, and there's just not so much to coordinate around what everyone's gonna wear and what everyone needs to be doing and so many people and all this stuff. It's just eliminate all of the drama, eliminate all the things, and just have it be the couple or a very, very limited bridal party. That being said, I'm not saying that we're not gonna have bachelorette parties and bridal showers and all of the fun still. I think this is an amazing excuse to have different celebrations and invite the people who you truly want there, and maybe even have multiple bachelorette parties where you have the different groups of friends, or different celebrations where you can include all of the different people in your lives and truly celebrate with them personally. So I think we'll see smaller, more intimate bridal parties, but I think we'll also see people inviting people to the bachelorette party and the other celebrations who aren't technically in the bridal party, or having multiple celebrations for the different people in their lives. The next trend that is on its way out is reception toasts. I know this one might be a little bit shocking to you, but I feel like the days of having the bride's dad get up and talk for like way too long, or somebody tell a mortifying story about the couple that they do not want their family to hear, I think those days are kind of over. My prediction is that we'll see more people have like speaking parts in the wedding ceremony itself. The people who are truly like really deeply involved in the couple's life and who the couple wants involved in their wedding day. We'll see more of those pieces in the ceremony because then it's a lot more serious and a lot more special. And then I think we'll see like the different toasts, different things like that happen maybe at the rehearsal dinner or the other celebrations surrounding the wedding. And we'll save the embarrassing stories for the bachelor and bachelorette parties or something like that. But the long-winded, old school toasts are definitely on their way out. I think the next thing that's on its way out in general are wedding traditions and etiquette. They definitely exist for a reason, and they can add a lot of meaning to a couple's wedding day. And I think they're important to look at to see if they would add meaning, but there's a lot of things that just don't really make sense for couples to do, but people are just doing them because it's what you're supposed to do. So I think we'll see a lot of those traditions either mixed up and couples just really putting a personal spin on the tradition if they are gonna do it, or we'll see them completely eliminated so that they can spend their time and money and energy elsewhere on things that are actually meaningful to them, and maybe come up with some amazing new traditions too. And I think etiquette is kind of on its way out too. Again, there are things that's like, it makes sense why we do things, and that kind of stuff will stick around if it is meaningful or adds reverence to the couple's big day. But I feel like our generation and the upcoming generations getting married, we're not gonna do things just because it's the way we're supposed to do it. We wanna know why, and we want it to be meaningful and personal. The next trend that is on its way out is huge guest lists where you have to invite everyone that you know and their brother to your wedding. This was kind of a forced function over the past couple years with the goings on in the world. But I think that this will actually stick around because every couple has people that they don't actually think they want to invite to their wedding, but they are just doing it because they have to or they're supposed to. And so now we kind of have an excuse, and we broke the tradition of having to invite everybody, even if you've like never talked to them in your life. Having to invite them to your wedding is just not going to be a thing anymore, which is amazing because that gives you a lot more flexibility on your budget and allows you to spend more and make things more beautiful, or make the food better, or have a better bar, or all that stuff, because you are eliminating headcount that you actually don't really want there. And then the last old school wedding tradition that is well on its way out is the wild bachelor and bachelorette party weekends. So I don't really know the history on bachelor and bachelorette parties, but it seems like it used to be where it was like your last hurrah as a single person, but we're not actually single. And the choices that you make on your bachelor and bachelorette parties will definitely impact you in the future. If not just like from a guilt perspective. So I think that we are opting to be respectful to our partners, even though we're not technically married yet. We aren't really going out and acting single and having these wild weekends. It's more like a reason to have a wonderful connecting trip with our best friends. I have an entire video that walks you through planning an amazing bachelorette party, including these kind of meaningful experiences, and I will definitely link that below. And I also have a maid of honor manual workbook that has all of the worksheets that you need to organize everything so that you can create a truly meaningful bachelorette party experience. And that brings me to my trends that are very much on their way in and here to stay for a while. The first trend that's on its way in is experiences over things. And I've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I think we'll see couples spending their wedding budgets more on experiences for them and the guests, as opposed to things like favors and decor and that kind of stuff. Kind of going along with that, I think that we'll see a lot more minimalism and essentialism themed weddings, where we're just not gonna see all the stuff on the tables, all of the flowers, all of the things everywhere. It's going to be simple and basic and just really focus on one beautiful thing that's actually meaningful, instead of having just a ton of stuff everywhere. We have the resources and the tools available to us to kind of see everything laid out on like what there is that we could possibly incorporate, and we can just cross off the stuff that isn't important and doesn't make sense for us to do, and focus our time and energy on the things that are more essential to us and that would bring us more joy and more meaning to our big days, instead of just doing the checklist because we have to do the checklist. The next huge trend that is definitely gonna be in, and it started I think with Paris Hilton's wedding, is the multi-day experience. Personally, I believe that there's no reason that everybody and their brother should be invited to every part of your wedding. I think that there should be a private ceremony where it's just literally you and your partner, so that you can really soak in those moments and enjoy that time together. And then maybe even a second ceremony where you are inviting more people and involving the closer people in your lives, but still not everyone. I don't think everyone needs to be at your wedding ceremony, but then people still like to have the big party and the big reception. So maybe you have just a dinner reception for your close, intimate people on your actual wedding day, but then the next night you have a big party where you would invite everyone else. And then along with that multi-day experience, I think that the next trend that we'll see is theme parties. So if you were doing it in the traditional way, having a themed reception might be kind of hard because you wouldn't want your guests to be all dressed up in theme for your ceremony necessarily, maybe. But if you have a multi-day experience or you have things a little bit more spread out, you are able to have like maybe a welcome party the night before the wedding that could be anything that you want that speaks to you as a couple and is just a lot of fun. Or like I said, if you are doing the more intimate reception the night of your wedding where it's just gonna be like you and your closest family and friends, and then you have a big party later, the big party could totally be something themed, and it just adds so much fun to have everyone dressed up, and especially if there's something that speaks to you as a couple and just really would make sense. I think that would be really, really fun. The next trend that is very in is color. I feel like we've gone through a few years now where everything is white and greenery and gold and just very muted and neutral. And I think neutrals will stick around, but I think that we're gonna see more and more people opt for really bright pops of color with those neutrals, or just ditching the neutrals completely and just having these really bright, even color clashing weddings. With the Pantone colors of the year becoming brighter and brighter, I think that we'll just start seeing a lot more really bright, poppy, colorful weddings. Another trend that is in that I think will stick around is the open air tents and venues. Obviously, this was a must-have for the past couple years, and it might be for a while. I'm not here to talk about that, but I think that this theme will stick around because venues are having to incorporate the open air concept to be able to have weddings right now anyway. So I think it will stick around after, and I just love the feel of being protected from the elements, whether it's a tent or just an open air venue, but still having it feel like the outdoors. Outdoor weddings are just so popular and so in because it's beautiful, you're in nature, it feels so good, and it's so fun to be outside. And then in most places there is always the little threat of weather. So having venues start just automatically providing a tented area or building the venue to be open air itself is just gonna be amazing. Another fun trend that I'm starting to see is a specialty bar. So you would have your normal bar, whether it's just beer and wine or a complete open bar, but then you could have like a themed satellite bar that has a very specific drink. So a lot of couples do like a specialty cocktail, but you could have the whole setup and have all the copper mugs and have everything in a completely different part of the reception, and it would be more of an experience for the guests than just having it be at your regular bar. This is definitely something that would be a little bit more of a stretch if you are on a budget, but I also think that it would be really fun and worth it if you do have the budget available to create some sort of experience around a drink that is meaningful to you and your partner. Another trend that is on its way in is more minimal floral. I know we've seen lots of greenery and stuff as of late, so we are seeing less and less blooms, but I think that we're gonna see even less of the greenery and the floral itself. So less greenery, fewer stems. Like I said, the more simple, like minimalist look is really starting to be in, and I think we're starting to more consciously think about our choices. Fresh flowers are definitely not like the most sustainable thing, and they're so beautiful and they create such a beautiful experience, but at the end of the night we do end up throwing most of them away. Flowers are obviously here to stay. They're beautiful, they add so much, but I think that we're gonna see less stems, and I think that we'll see them like more sprawling and looser. So a lot of the old school like centerpieces and bridal bouquets and all the stuff was like tightly packed flowers, like how many flowers can we fit in this thing? But now, especially with like the boho look being in and like the more casual look, we're seeing more like sprawling flowers. So you actually need less stems, which is amazing just for budget reasons in general. but it also looks really pretty. The next thing that we're gonna see so much of is repurposing. So I think we'll see all of this stuff just repurposed better throughout the different sections of the wedding. These beautiful ceremony backdrops are super in right now, and they're huge and pretty, and we spend so much money on them. And then everybody's sitting in the ceremony and they only see it for like 20 minutes. So it just like doesn't actually get that much use. But there's ways that we can build these and create these beautiful ceremony pieces that we can put them behind our sweetheart table and then continue to use them throughout the night, instead of being so wasteful from like a budget perspective and just from having so much stuff and then just throwing it away after using it for 20 minutes. We're definitely getting more creative and like reusing everything and creating the design based on the thought that we're going to reuse it. I think I should probably just do an entire video on how you can reuse things throughout your big day, but I talked a lot about this in my recent boho decor video, so if you want some ideas there, you can check that video out and just keep an eye out for a repurposing video as well. And then the last trend that became very popular the past couple years because it had to, but I think it will stick around, is the micro wedding trend. Having an extremely intimate ceremony and dinner for your actual wedding so that you can really be present and celebrate with the people who are closest to you. The amazing thing about these small intimate weddings is your budget just goes so much further. So we'll definitely see this micro wedding trend stick around, but I think it will end up being coupled with the multi-day experience where you have the micro wedding, the really small wedding day, but then you'll have other experiences throughout the wedding weekend where you get to celebrate and spend time with all of the people that you love in your life. So there's my take on what's on its way out and what's on its way in. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure, if you haven't grabbed the Unveiled Ultimate Wedding Planning Workbook, that you grab that so you can plan your wedding professionally and you don't get that super chaotic old school DIY feel for your wedding day. I will link that below for you. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and we will see you next time. Happy planning.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put